every company is going to become a Bitcoin company, like, something like Tesla, but it's going to be less and less newsworthy because it's going to be more and more um, moving towards like becoming ubiquitous. That large, profitable, operational companies are going to, both public and private, are just going to be exposed to Bitcoin, going to be accumulating Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to become a greater and greater uh, part of the global financial system.
So, Austin, like, please. So, Roxom TV is for Bitcoiners. Okay. So here it's full of sorry, it's full of Bitcoiners. Roxom TV is seen by Bitcoiners, but as you know, not all Bitcoiners are believing the Bitcoin treasury company like thing right now. So how can we explain, not to somebody that doesn't know Bitcoin and so on? No, no, this is strictly for Bitcoiners. How can we explain to a Bitcoiner that Bitcoin treasury companies make sense, that they are a good thing to do from a Bitcoin perspective? Like, and also if you can share, because you're building Bitcoin treasury companies, and this is something so interesting, is what is the future of Bitcoin treasury companies? Are like these companies going to be companies that only hold Bitcoin? Are they going to do something with that Bitcoin? Are they going to become like, some people say they are going to become like the banks of the future? Could you explain why? Like, again, for all the Bitcoiners that are watching this, like, what's the Bitcoin explanation of the trade, or the thesis of the investment of the movement?
Well, we have a lot of capital in the world. You've probably seen that one of the versions of like the charter infographic where there's the squares, and there's like,
Yeah.
this is how much capital is in real estate, and this is gold, and this is equities, and then you have the little tiny square on the top that's 2 trillion or whatever it is now, $2.2 trillion, and that's
Hmm.
Bitcoin. So look how much room there is to grow. How much, implying that Bitcoin is a good investment because it has $2 trillion of total market cap, and then the total market cap of all global capital is so many trillions, 100, 250 trillion or whatever it is. But to get the capital into Bitcoin, like, I do believe that Bitcoin is going to become a lot bigger than $2 trillion. It's going to be 2 trillion, and then 12 trillion, and then 20 trillion, and then 200 trillion. But you need to get the capital into Bitcoin. And right now, what are the conduits to get capital into Bitcoin? We have a lot of wonderful companies like Kraken and Binance. You can get capital, get your capital into Bitcoin. Um, but those are, there's only so much bandwidth. How many people and what with controlling what amount of capital are going to send their money to Kraken? Send a wire to Kraken. Who's going to do that? What is the profile that would never do that? What is the profile of all the grandmas and all the people holding the pension funds, the retirement accounts? I mean, just you can really just literally go on and on and on.
Yeah.
There's so much capital in the world, and we have the ETFs come to the market that creates more and more conduits for capital. Now, whether or not you like the thesis or the idea of handing money to someone to hold Bitcoin, and you get a claim on that Bitcoin, like an ETF, some sort of legal claim to it, or like the exchange. Actually, so many people, they hand their money to Kraken, they buy Bitcoin, they leave the Bitcoin on Kraken. They don't have the Bitcoin. They have a some semblance of a legal claim to the coin. Um,
Yeah.
ideally, we have 8 billion people running a node. All their economic activity is conducted through that node, and they're verifying. But physically, the network can't accommodate that. First and foremost, the network cannot accommodate that. Bitcoin, whether for better or worse, and it's probably depending what aspect, both of those things. The way that Bitcoin has evolved and scaled thus far, it does not accommodate every human being on Earth having an economically active full node. It cannot happen. We have limited capacity on the network. So just by that, you're going to have layers of aggregation in order to support the entire world utilizing Bitcoin. So
yeah, I totally agree on that view, Austin. On bringing the bitcoins to the big markets, as you were saying, I very much agree on the idea of it's basically an enabler on that sense. As you were saying, you got 60 trillion in the money markets and the credit side, and around 35-40 trillion on the equity side, which I think
and
it's where
that's
you are focused right now.
in the market. There's a
Yeah,
lot of money that's just sitting in cash
yeah,
brokerage account, or is sitting
of
in
course.
the adjacent
Yeah.
system. We were examining the other day. Somebody came to us with an idea or something like that, but I was looking and it was like they were talking about the Jamaican Stock Exchange, which is one of the smallest active stock exchanges by market cap. But even being one of the smallest, it had something like 11 or 12 billion dollars in market cap of the equities. It's like that's not zero, and that's meaning, especially that's especially in Bitcoin terms, where we only have $2 trillion between us all. Another 12 billion is extremely meaningful. And then so we were talking back and forth with that. It's like, oh yeah, but there's probably another at least another 10 billion idle in like the Jamaican financial system, adjacent to the stock exchange. So the amount of by creating some sort of conduit in a Jamaican capital market, which I don't think anybody's doing right now, because it's probably it's one of the smaller addressable markets for this, but you could potentially pull in 4-5 billion dollars into Bitcoin through that, and
Which definitely sounds fun and interesting. Yeah, I totally agree on that. I think it's
people,
also,
so they don't get left behind. If we really are going to experience Bitcoinization or hyper-Bitcoinization, it would really be better for the current and definitely the future economic prospects of Jamaica to have more people getting, even if it's encumbered or bastardized exposure to Bitcoin. It's a lot better than no exposure to Bitcoin.